All right, let's talk about Terminator Dark Fate because I got some things to say about it. Okay, there's a lot of reasons that this movie bombed, and there's a lot of reasons that this movie slaps people in the face that were fans of the original series. Now, I did a video on this last week. Did very well. I talked about how this movie bombed internationally really bad. Now, it didn't launch over here, and it didn't launch in China yet, but it launched in the UK, and it launched in Germany and a few other places where it could have made some money. Made like $24 million for the whole weekend. Now, I think it's going to make a little bit more here, but it's already not looking good. Before we keep going, take a second, make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. YouTube's doing some weird thing with the algorithm. Basically, if you were subscribed, you might be unsubscribed. So double check, make sure you're still subscribed, and that way, you'll keep getting videos and such. Now, before I move on from this, I want to point out that this was trending on Twitter yesterday. It was actually doing pretty decent, but there's a couple of weird things about this. So, it was trending on Twitter. About 4,300 people were talking about it, but it was mostly check marks and Puritans going, yay, women power. And their retweets and likes were about 0. The top trending tweet was about 1,600 likes. So it's mostly the woketh, go broketh crowd that was supporting it. But there's a couple of weird things. So let me get through this. So Terminator bombs again as Dark Fate nabs $10.6 million on Friday. Didn't do very well on Thursday. Only grabbed $2.4 million. That's not very good. Okay, that's pretty horrible. That's terrible numbers, especially for Terminator. There's a lot of factors for that, and we'll get to them. But here's the weird thing that was really I was kind of blown away by this. So here's the Rotten Tomatoes score. You're sitting at 69% on the critic side. And the audience actually seems to like it. 86% on the audience score. But you only have 890 verified ratings. Now, I don't know if that means there's more and they're actually washing people out, which could be the case. Could be the case. My theory on this is my theory, is that people are just sick of Terminator and didn't go see it. And a lot of the people that did go see it and did like it, liked a generic action movie, which is what it was. If you look at the spoilers, it's a generic action movie. I think a lot of the people that were big fans of Terminator 2 and stuff like that, once they found out John is gone, I think they were like, yep, peace, I'm good. And they didn't go see it. And I think that's part of the reason why the score's down. I think a lot of people just didn't even bother. Because like I said last week, this film is a big slap in the face to Terminator fans. The way they treated John, the things they did to Sarah. I was watching Nerdrotic's review of this, and he made a lot of really, really good points, particularly on how it changes Sarah, who used to be a strong mother. It's almost like they put down motherhood in a lot of ways, which is strange, James Cameron used to be really, really good at writing strong female characters, and it's like in this one, I don't know what they were thinking. They were trying to shoot for the woketh, go broketh crowd because, they seem to think that these people are going to show up and just really rally the troops and make these movies do very good. And then you get a lot of stuff like this, right? Okay, listen to this hot take. In the end of the director's cut of Terminator 2, we see old Sarah Connor at the playground pictured left. On the right is Sarah Connor from Terminator Dark Fate, who is now that same age. And wow, what a chilling commentary on how Hollywood viewed women in the 60s. The absurdity of the aging makeup aside, how in the world did James Cameron decide that ass-kicking, ripped to the nines Sarah Connor would more than to some elderly schoolmom at the park bench with an art teacher frock and braid? This is not an invitation for men to reply with their takes on how women age, or correct me in my opinion, or further perpetuate antiquated stereotypes about women over 40 in defense of an undeniably poor presentation of a 60-year-old woman. She retweeted somebody here. I don't know who it was. But let's talk about facts for a second. Okay, this is the deleted scene at the end of Terminator 2. All right, that movie is pretty old. All right, this is not special effects or any type of aging technology. They had to do it with the best they could at the time. You can't just tailor someone to look a certain age back then. But of course, these people don't understand that. Limited technology? Nope. It's just plain old sexism. Okay, now this is her naturally in the 60s or whatever. But it's just the point. These are the type of people that went into that movie all excited, thinking that it was going to be the best, and they're the ones praising it. And I think those are the people that are putting those scores up on that positive 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's just my thought. But it does not change the fact that the movie is a complete flop. Terminator Dark Fate could flop at the US box office despite reviews calling it the best movie in the franchise in nearly 30 years. And then we got a couple of bullet points here. Terminator Dark Fate earned $2.35 million in the domestic box office Thursday. I already pointed that out. That's on par with the most recent movie in the franchise, Terminator Genesis, which ultimately made just $27 million in its opening weekend. It's a bad sign for Dark Fate, despite receiving the best reviews for the franchise in years. Dark Fate cost $185 million to make, more than the $155 million production budget of Genesis. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. James Cameron was attached to it. They're naturally going to put more money on it because of the James Cameron factor. That's why they put up more money to make it. They automatically thought it was going to be a huge success because James Cameron is attached to it, and that was not the case at all. That was not the case at all. And let's be clear, there's many reasons that this movie failed besides the woke factor, which, even I'm going to go to that well and say that that was a reason that the movie didn't do well, because it's absolutely true. That is a factor to why it didn't do well. I think when a lot of so there, like I said in last week's video, there were spoilers that came out on this movie, man, I want to say before the summer even started. Spoilers on this movie dropped. And everyone knew that John Connor was taken out at the beginning because those spoilers that came out were dead on. Everything that was leaked about this movie's plot ended up being true. So that moved to them saying, we're doing reshoots now with John Connor. We're going to change things up about John. Edward Furlong, I believe, was even rumored to have been on set and stuff like that. That was not the case. Instead, none of that was true. The only thing true were the terrible spoilers, and I think that turned off a ton of Terminator fans. Turned me off. You told me that this was the greatest character and the salvation of the human race, and you're just going to take him out to just replace him with a 90-pound, 5'1" woman. Okay, gotcha. We know why you did that. Woke points. That's exactly the reason it was done. There's no real argument on that to me, because there's no reason to do it. You could have done the same movie right here with John Connor as an adult, and you could have just said that that Skynet was defeated and Legion is the new enemy. You could have even done it a little bit differently. Let me rewrite the movie for you. Skynet doesn't happen. John instead has the ending in Terminator 2. You could have just made that canon. And then all of a sudden, it turns out that Terminators are after this different person because Skynet was erased and Legion became a thing. John never became the resistance leader. In my opinion, that sounds much better than brutally taking him out at the beginning of the movie. I don't get the point there. But, hey, we live in Hollywood. It's a place where you can't even walk down the road without stepping in some kind of junkie's poop. It's just the world they live in. Now, we can also point out the fact that there's probably fatigue here. You've rebooted this franchise 3 times now. You rebooted it with Salvation. You rebooted it with Genesis. And now for the 3rd time, you've rebooted it with Dark Fate. This confuses people. And it turns people off to the movie franchise to say, well, what about those other movies? Why don't they work? Why are you rebooting them? Don't forget, they've also had a show called the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which is actually a really, really good show, by the way, if you've never seen it. It unfortunately got cut short, but In my opinion, that's where it should stay. This movie is a disaster, and it's another case of getting woke and going broke. And I also think a combination of the fatigue and the people just being fed up with the reboots. I think this franchise is done. I don't see them greenlighting a sequel. I think this will be the nail in the coffin for Terminator. And rightly so. And rightly so. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me hear your thoughts, though. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Tell me what you think. Throw a like up as well. Both of those are very important for that old P-score on the YouTube algorithm. So give me your thoughts. Give me your likes. All of that good stuff. Also, share the video. Share the video for every YouTube creator that you like. It helps them immensely because YouTube just does not recommend people as much as they used to. Also, make sure you still subscribe. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.